Hi, HRN listeners. We're celebrating our 15th anniversary, and we have a really fun campaign and an ask for you. This 15th anniversary tour is aiming to bring you closer to unique food and music experiences in some of the most exciting cities in America. All the while, we're raising funds to support our work empowering the next generation of food systems storytellers through our fellowship programs. Here's how it works. Donate to HRN and be entered into a raffle in the city of your choice to win a dinner for two at a noteworthy restaurant and tickets for two to a concert at a prominent local venue. We have incredible partners in New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Nashville, Las Vegas, Charleston, Asheville, and Ardmore, Pennsylvania, who have donated a meal for two and two tickets to a concert of the winner's choice. And all donations help fund our fellowship programs, where we're helping to build essential workforce readiness skills and food system storytelling skills. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15. Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Square. If you run a restaurant or business, Square has the tools to help you stay connected to customers, shift your business, and navigate this uniquely challenging time. Learn more at square.com/go/industry.
Well, hello. Welcome to All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network. I'm your host, Sherry Bayer, and it is Wednesday, May 6th, 2020. This is the 249th episode of this series, which is dedicated to behind-the-scenes talent in the hospitality industry. Today, my guests are representing LUCKYRICE and Lucky Chow, and I will introduce them fully in a moment. First, as I do in every show, I will start out with my PR tip, and then later we will have my speed round game, industry news discussion, where we will continue our COVID-19 coverage, and my solo dining experience, which is a takeout experience, and the final question. As the founder of Bayer Public Relations, I'm going to tip off the show with my PR tip of the week. So today's tip is to find solutions. Seek ways for a better tomorrow, rather than wallow in the past. As we face unprecedented times due to COVID-19 and are forced to slow down, let's try to make the most of it by looking at the bigger picture and seeing how we can turn this inopportune time into something good or better than what we had before. Let's challenge ourselves to think about how we can improve our lives as we head towards a new normal, discovering answers for a brighter future. That's my tip today. Now, I am so lucky to have my guests on the show with me. We have two fabulous people. First, Danielle Chang, the founder and CEO of LUCKYRICE, a lifestyle brand that has been shining a spotlight on Asian culture through food and drink for the past decade. Danielle is also the host and creator of Lucky Chow, a national broadcast TV show on PBS, which explores Asian cuisine's impact on American food culture, now in its fourth season. And she is the author of her first book, LUCKYRICE, Stories and Recipes from Night Markets, Feasts, and Family Tables. And I am also joined by William Lee, Danielle's co-host and co-producer of Season 4 of Lucky Chow and executive director of LUCKYRICE. William is the founder and principal of Berkshire Strategy Group and contributing editor for Elle Decor and Town & Country. He most recently was the global brand president of Ralph Lauren Home and prior, a seasoned and highly regarded publishing executive with Condé Nast Publications. So welcome to the show, Danielle and William.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Well, it's nice to have you via internet, and I hope to see you both soon in the near future. But I have to say, I'm getting a sneak peek of watching your new show, and it's so fabulous seeing you on screen. So I would love to start out and just get a bit of your backgrounds and how you both got into what you're doing today in your careers.
Sure.
Danielle, do
Well,
you want to start? Yeah.
the most exciting thing is actually meeting William over a decade ago. We were both, I think, at kind of crossroads of our careers back then. He can speak for himself, but I had just started Lucky Rice, and William was publishing Condé Nast Traveler. So I went to him with this idea about, hey, wouldn't it be great if we created this platform that celebrated Asian culture, but through the lens of food? And to this day, William still makes fun of my pitch because I'm always saying, if we are what we eat, we're all part Asian. And I think it's still true today. But anyhow, that's how William and I met. And then he joined the advisory board of Lucky Rice. And I'm so grateful now to have him, be working with me both on Lucky Rice and on Lucky Chow.
Yes. How did you come up with the idea of Lucky Rice? What were you doing prior?
I was actually running a fashion brand called Vivian Tam. I was the CEO of a global fashion company that was selling cultural experiences, really, but through fashion. And, William had also worked in the fashion industry, both as the publisher of Men's Vogue and then tangentially, of course, at Ralph Lauren. But we just wanted to find like a way, an expression for people to experience Asian culture that wasn't as limiting as fashion. Not everybody can wear a cheapal and look fabulous, or fine art. Not everybody can own a shoe bing. And so I really thought that food was just a really universal and appetizing lens through which to tell these stories that really come from our heritage.
Yeah, and Sherry, what was so exciting about this, you have to almost go back in time a little bit and really think about what the dining scene was like, not just in New York, but, in the rest of the country. Asian food, obviously, in New York City, you had Chinese food, you had select Japanese food, but Asian food as a phenomenon was not really a thing 10 years ago. I mean, David Chang was just coming on the scene. You started seeing young Asian chefs doing really experimental things. You saw the beginnings of people like Hooni Kim, the great Korean chef, kind of playing with traditional Korean cuisine. But 10 years ago, there were very, very few people who did that. So what excited me about Lucky Rice was Danielle really did see this opportunity for us to sort of talk about our culture and our heritage through the lens of food at a time where people were just starting to give it the credibility that it deserved. And now, of course, outside of Mexican food, Asian food is, probably the most popular type of cuisine in America. And a lot has changed in the Asian dining scene in the last 10 years. And, Lucky Rice has been an important part of that evolution over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I feel that, a lot of, obviously we live in New York City, we eat out all the time, and there's so many great Asian restaurants. I live, right at the border of Chinatown, and unfortunately, all of these restaurants are shut down right now, and I think we're trying to figure out how to bring these same flavors that Americans have become addicted to. Like comfort food in a bowl of pho, or in the form of kimchi or sushi rolls, as we were talking about the other day. I mean, I think that these foods that were kind of still foreign and ethnic to us even 10 years ago have become our comfort foods. So in a time when we're all seeking comfort through food at home, what we're trying to do is to bring that to you in a kind of virtual experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're right. There's a lot has changed in the past 10 years. And I love thinking of your pitch or how you guys connected and now have, really worked together. And my experience over these past, years working with restaurants, primarily based in New York City, attending and going, having restaurants participate in your Lucky Rice events. And I've been to several of
Oh,
whether it was at Mandarin Oriental or,
uh-huh.
downtown last year, you had it down at World Trade Center. And
Oh,
they're
you were
always,
there. Oh, great.
yeah, I'm good friends and I've worked with Pichet Ong and Eric
Yes,
Bruner Yang
of
and
course.
yeah, there's definitely been crossover between my career and yours, kind of
Well, I
on,
think that that's how we
yeah.
initially met, Shari, through Pichet.
I believe so, and he is that ultimate connector,
Right.
and yeah, no. So I've the you've put together these amazing events, and it's not just a one night thing. They're very, I don't know if you want to get into that a little bit, how you created like what Lucky Rice Festival and the celebration, what you were doing and how that changed over the years as well.
Sure. I mean, we started out with a 1 week, actually, it was a 10-day festival um, in New York City, where we held everything from Epicurean cocktail feasts, where chefs, would create cocktails inspired by Asian culinary ingredients, and upwards of thousands, 1,000 or 2,000 people would come to these events where they could taste up to several dozen cocktails. We had versions of these kind of tastings as a night market. Our first year, we created something with David Chang. Who hosted our first night market under the archway in Dumbo, under the Manhattan Bridge. So that
Right.
was one of my favorite events of all time. And then as we've evolved over the years, we've also been able to take our festival on the road. So now they're in New York, LA, San Francisco, Chicago, Miami, Toronto, and we are actually taking our festival on the road as well this year, but not until October. So we're fortunate that the great group of sponsors that we've worked with for over the past decade have continued to support us. People like American Express and Remy Cointreau.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, we'll have to
Yeah.
future of what festivals and events I'm sure you're thinking about, or what that's going to look like. But
Hmm.
we don't really know what's going to be happening in the fall at the same time. But
Sure.
is better timing than certainly having an event right now.
Well, I mean, we're going to be very, very safe, and keep the events very intimate. That was the direction that we had decided to go in anyway, pre-COVID, last year, was to create more intimate experiences for groups of, say, 50 or under. And even I had been speaking to Remy about creating events at my home
Oh
for
wow.
a select group of like 8 to 10 people. I mean, so really, really intimate events. That's what we were talking about last year already. So I think that the trend has been shifting anyway in that direction um, as far as events go, food
Yeah.
events.
And I think you just answered the question that I had for my last guest. I realized that on episode 248, I had on Steve Sidman, an attorney at Carlton Fields, and his question for you was, do you see yourself having to make fundamental shifts in the Lucky Rice business model and its goals in the post COVID-19 world? And he
Uh-huh.
also noted he
Yeah.
has your cookbook and is a big fan.
Oh, that's so
So,
sweet.
Sherry, also in addition to the events just becoming more intimate, which is something that Danielle and I wanted to do anyway, I think now with COVID, we've been fortunate. We've gotten a lot of outreach from brands turning to us to see how we can leverage our experiential authority in sort of doing these bigger events and how we can translate them into a more virtual setting. So, I'll use an example. American Express, who's been a partner of Danielle's, where Danielle's a global ambassador for Amex, and they've sponsored Lucky Rice for years. This Sunday, we are actually kicking off a 6 episode series where we are going to be doing cook-alongs, where Danielle and a guest from Lucky Chow season 4 will be preparing a dish and people can cook along. And then it'll be followed by a screening of the episode, which is only 26 minutes. And then we're going to have Q&As. And then depending on the episode, there'll be a lot of other kind of fun activities along the way. So, I think that's what everyone's really looking for right now. Is like, because, you're sitting at home, you're bored to death. Isolation is not so fun. And I think that the brands that really stand out are the ones that are thinking through how they can recreate some of that magic of their live events and translate that into a more virtual setting. So we're excited to kind of kick that off on Sunday. And for those of you who are interested, we will have the login information on LuckyRice.com this coming weekend.
Oh,
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
actually, we're trying to turn it in really into a virtual experience, so people will be able to log on to Vimeo, it's free, and really cook along. And so this Sunday, for instance, it's Mother's Day. So we are inviting Liv Wu, who's this really amazing cooking instructor, journalist, and designer, business authority. I mean, my mentor anyway, who lives on Moss Beach, all the way out in Half Moon Bay, California, by the ocean. And then we're also speaking to Erling Wu, her son, who is the chef owner of Pacific Standard Time, where we were supposed to hold our PBS screening of Lucky Chow season 4 during the James Beard Awards on May
Yeah.
2nd. But obviously that didn't happen. So we're really glad that we were able, through Amex, to be able to turn this into, a virtual experience. And they'll both be demonstrating how to create umami, because I feel like that's a flavor that people really miss. And we're going to be, we have a retail component actually that is 100% subsidized by our wonderful partners, and all the profits of this Essential Asian Pantry box go to help small businesses like Pearl River, who we're partnering with to create an Essential Asian Pantry staple box that you can also purchase at LuckyRice.com. So you can actually cook along with the ingredients that we're going to be using every week.
Wow, that's really fabulous. And I have to say, well, I just watched your first episode of season 4, which had you guys fishing with you with the chef and talking about and I actually took a note when his mom talked about umami being a combination between sea and land, and
Yes.
it was, I have to say, I was smiling the whole time I was watching this episode, because you guys it's just, first of all, it's so beautifully shot, and you guys are just a joy
Thank
to
you.
watch on camera. And Danielle, I had watched previous seasons with you, and you're just so great, but and just having William join in is spectacular. How have you, William, coming into season 4,
Yeah.
with your background, what did you, I
Yeah.
guess, bring to the table?
Yeah.
You know?
So I think, obviously the first 3 seasons were fabulous, and you know, being, one of the very few shows that are able to kind of tell these Asian American stories, I was very excited to join season 4 with Danielle as co-host and co-producer. But I think that as Danielle and I kind of talked about how we saw Lucky Chow evolving, I think, we both come from backgrounds that are maybe a little bit more journalistic. As you know, I spent 15 years at Condé Nast, and I'm currently the contributing editor, one of the contributing editors at El Decor in Town and Country. And so for me, it's really always about storytelling. And I think that great television is really television that kind of lets you fall in love with the subjects you're watching. And I think that as we looked at season 4, outside of chefs, we really wanted to look at other people in the food supply chain, in the food landscape, farmers, makers, small little producers that you've never heard of doing Ayurvedic pickles who have incredible stories. I think what Danielle and I wanted to bring to season 4 was a really, really rich narrative, accompanied by beautiful cinematography. And I'm so glad you said that you thought it was so beautifully filmed. Our director of cinematography, this guy Francisco Alawalis. Wait, how do you pronounce his name, Danielle? I always screw it
You
up.
did it perfectly.
I did. Oh my God, I did it well. I did it right. Fran is an incredible filmmaker, and we had an amazing crew. Second photographer, this guy Richard Patterson. We had an amazing director producer, Catherine Sheldon, who you probably know, Sherry.
I do. She's a friend of mine. We've worked together. I last saw her. We had lunch at Wayla.
I love Wayla.
And I did from the conference I did in January, my host conference, I had her, she edited some videos for me. So
she's amazing.
Catherine's amazing.
We had an
Sorry, just a quick side. I think the last restaurant meal I actually had was with you, William, at Wayla.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good one.
It is a good one.
Yeah. So anyway, so season 4, it's been an absolute delight. And I think that what people who have been watching the show already will notice is that I think that, it looks beautiful. I think that the stories, I think, are more varied. I think more sort of people that aren't just necessarily chefs per se, or so specifically, makers per se, but there's a really nice cross section of people, and the subjects. The second episode, that is probably my favorite episode, is all about healing and looking at food as medicine and the idea of functional food and kind of exploring that. Danielle and I are both super interested in wellness, particularly as it relates to Asian wellness and Asian modalities and healing traditions. So doing that episode was particularly fun for us.
Yes, and actually we're excited. I mean, a sneak peek of what's to come in the life of our virtual series includes an episode on May 21st with Waris Ahluwalia, who is, did you ever see that really handsome man in all the Wes Anderson movies who's wearing the turban?
I'm going to say yes, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
If you saw his face, you'd say, oh, yes, that guy. Yeah.
That guy.
Boris,
incredibly handsome, inside and out type person who has launched this line of healing teas called House of Waris Botanicals. And so we're going to be talking to him, and then we're talking to this other Ayurvedic trained healer, Sume Yu, who's in La Jolla, who is basically like my auntie. I've known her for more than half my life. And she's going to read Waris's face and then prescribe, so to speak, essential oils that you can make at home using sort of key Asian herbs and ingredients like white peppercorns or star anise or cinnamon bark, to essentially create your own tiger balm.
Wow. So cool. Are you now the series, the season 4 is premiering this week on PBS, and so people can watch it. Uh, look up your
Yes.
local listings, right? And
Yes. So depending on the market that you're in, so the way PBS works is public television works is depending on the market, they pick up the show at different times. So starting this week, we're in pretty much, the top, 10 markets. And as the month goes on, we'll be picked up by more and more stations along the way. They pick it up at different times. But to make it easy for everyone, so they don't have to, if it's not playing in your market, we've put up all 6 episodes on our website. So you can either access it through luckychow.org, or you can also go to luckyrice.com, and all 6 episodes of season 4 are there for you to enjoy.
awesome.
Binge watch.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is. I think the length of the episode, it's easy. I think it's easy to binge. You could easily binge watch the whole season,
Oh yeah,
sucked in.
26 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, or if you, it's like
I can't watch myself at all,
Yeah.
so I could never binge watch it.
no, I think the length is really good, especially busy people, and you could just capture an episode. And are you thinking now of season 5?
We are actually.
Yeah, we actually had our first conversation about it today. Yes, we are starting to think about it. Obviously, with travel being what it is today, it's affecting how we think about the show and where we go and who we talk to. But, I think that Danielle and I learned a lot about season 4, about what we love doing together and the types of stories that we want to continue to tell. Sherry, it's also important to note that May is Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. So the season is perfect. The release of the season is perfectly timed to kind of storytelling for this community. And, as we think about season 5, our goal is just to continue to tell these incredible stories.
Yeah, I think I have to say that I just feel that we are all very, very much global citizens. How did a sneeze from Wuhan come to the island of Manhattan? Well, the same, obviously, is true in terms of spreading culture through narrative, as William said. So, we'd love to really take on more of a global approach as we continue to search for stories moving forward, because everything that happens affects us all on a global level.
Yeah, true. Well, I look forward to whatever's how you take this, your vision, and the next stage of it. I know it's going to be fabulous. So, on that note, let's take a little break, and we're going to come back and we'll play my speed round game, and we'll talk some industry news, and I'll also have my solo dining experience and the final question. This is All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network.
This episode is brought to you by Square. We all know that this is an incredibly challenging time for our friends running restaurants and small food businesses. With social distancing in place, people are staying home and eating in, and restaurants have had to pivot to pickup and delivery only. HRN would usually be recording our podcast from our studio inside Roberta's. But since they've had to close their dining room, they've ramped up their frozen pizza production, set up a wine and grocery shop, and seen their delivery orders skyrocket. Like Roberta's, many restaurants have been changing offerings day by day as they figure out how to best serve their customers. If you run a restaurant or small business, Square has the tools to help you adapt. One of these tools is the Square online store. It lets you set up a free online ordering page with curbside pickup and local delivery so you can keep customers safe. You can deliver orders yourself or integrate with delivery partners. Its Order Hub lets you manage all your incoming orders in one place, no matter which delivery partners you choose to use. Square has all the tools to help you stay connected to customers no matter where they are. See everything that's available by visiting square.com/go/industry.
Welcome back to All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network. I'm Sherry Bayer, and my guests today are Danielle Chang and William Lee of LUCKYRICE and Lucky Chow. And we are now going to play my speed round game. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
How it works is I name a few things and you pick your preference, such as chocolate or vanilla.
Okay.
So there's no right or wrong. It's just kind of a fun little little
chocolate for me.
round.
Yeah.
Chocolate.
Okay. Chocolate.
We're probably going to agree on everything. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. No, I love that. I'm curious.
Taste. Probably grimacing right now as I say that, but we do. We're probably going to agree on a lot of these things.
Okay, we'll see if that's true. Here we go. Eat in or eat out?
Eat in.
Eat out. Particularly now, I want nothing more than to eat out. I've been cooking every meal for the last 8 weeks, and I'm going crazy.
Yeah,
well, I've been supporting all of my local restaurants by ordering from people. All of my neighbors. It's amazing how many independent restaurateurs are struggling to stay alive today, and how well they're doing. I mean, in light of everything else, I mean, I have my personal heroes, like people like George Chen and China Live in San Francisco. I mean, he's really, he hasn't really furloughed his employees, and he's still able to maintain a full kind of operational kitchen and pantry supply section. So, it's so difficult. But there are some people who are really standing out, and William can speak to this as well. But a lot of the people that we featured in Lucky Chow Season 4 were actually on the front lines of the pandemic, like delivering Taiwanese bento boxes to hospital workers, for instance.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Sorry, I totally interrupted your game.
It's okay. Sometimes the speed, it doesn't have, I don't know. We'll see if we can, I mean, I like it. I like the commentary though. So, but yeah, I got a few more for you.
Okay.
How about, wine, beer, cocktail, mocktail, or champagne?
Champagne.
Ooh. Tasting menu or a la carte?
Ooh, depends on the chef.
Depends on who I'm with, actually.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Depends on chef. Depends on. My general is a la carte because I'm a control freak.
Okay. How about small plates or large plates?
Small.
Lots to share.
Yeah, I don't. Communal table or chef's counter?
Chef's counter.
Tipping or all-inclusive charge?
I don't care either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
All-inclusive doesn't scare me. I mean.
Yeah.
No, I mean we would normally tip at least that anyway. So.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, a few more. Thai iced tea or bubble tea?
Bubble tea.
Ah,
my kids would kill me. They were actually threatening to go out and get bubble tea today.
I'm sure there's a bubble tea place that delivers.
Yeah.
I don't know, but how about Ralph's Coffee or the Polo Bar?
Oh God! Well, that's like my old stomping grounds. The Polo Bar, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a feeling you'd say that, but I did. I've been to both, but I did go to Ralph's Coffee sometime last year in the Upper East, and
Yeah.
it's a cool experience.
Yeah, Ralph's Coffee for breakfast, Polo Bar for dinner. How's that?
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the last two are cheese plate or dessert.
Cheese
Dessert.
plate.
And Manhattan or Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Manhattan.
I don't know. I don't know how many we agreed on.
We agreed on maybe less than half.
Well, that's it. That's okay. That's fun. I love hearing the answers. So, um, that was the game, and for industry news, we've touched on it through this conversation about COVID-19, but I just
Yeah.
thought we could, there was an article on Eater New York talking about how Governor Cuomo is putting restaurants in the reopening plan's third phase. So this is
Mm-hmm.
new news from a few days ago about there's a four phase uh, strategy,
Right.
and that's going to start, I think, May 15th. And so they're starting to figure out how restaurants are going to come back, and they'll be in this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm obsessed with Cuomo. I literally,
Yeah.
let me tell you, I watch his briefings live every day. It's like on my
Me
calendar.
too. I think he's fabulous.
Yeah, he really is. So yeah, that was interesting what he reported a couple of days ago about that. And I was kind of thinking in my head, well, he's saying that New York City is on the decline. Like, we meet a lot of the kind of rigor of his opening plan, whereas places like the Berkshires or the Hamptons are actually not within those limits. So they'll probably be reopening at a different speed because, like, just within New York State, he's isolated 10 different regions, and this is obviously like a multi-state coordinated effort. So it really it would be reopening June 15th.
Yeah, but I think it's really not the way I sort of see it, Cherry. It's really not about a date. If you look at what a lot of chefs are saying, and Helen Rosner in the New Yorker this week has a great interview with Tom Colicchio, and it really boils down to how are each and every restaurant going to think about social distancing and what the dining experience looks like. If the bartenders are all wearing masks and the wait staff are all wearing masks, are consumers wearing masks? How do you eat? How do you distance each other? And if a restaurant only seats 50 to begin with, and with social distancing guidelines, meaning you can only feed 25 at one time, what does that mean for, revenue? And, from a revenue perspective, then what does that mean for margins? And can you even really stay open? Another point that Tom points out in his restaurants is most of his clients are gone. They leave the city in the summer. They're, in their second homes, and the city is more or less dead except for tourists. And this year, are tourists really going to come? That's another big question mark. So I think it's less about Cuomo saying that, restaurants and hotels will be in phase 3. It's just like, even if it is phase 3, what does that even look like? And
Yeah.
and how is a restaurant going to make money? I mean, I think the big fear is that people will reopen only to have to reclose a couple of months later in case there's a second wave. I mean, this all sounds so negative, but on the other hand, I think without testing and real strict protocols like they put in place in Asia, it's really for the hospitality industry, it's a really big problem. And I think that the other thing that needs to happen is the government really does need to bail out, independent restaurants, which employ, the statistic is something astounding. Independent restaurants employ 11 million people. And that is before you even factor in the supply chain of farmers, of fishermen, of distributors, of truck drivers. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
huge industry that is that does not have the lobbying power in Washington that it should, which is why, restaurant organizations such as the one Tom is heading up, is
Yeah, the
really kind of,
Independent Restaurant
yeah,
Coalition. Yeah,
exactly,
they're
exactly.
no, and I agree. Yes, everything you said, I agree with. I was thinking there's another article that I read. I think it was an Eater. It was talking with the owners of Yardbird in Hong Kong, um,
Yes.
and
Yeah, I was
and
just gonna say.
I visited Hong Kong and Singapore like about a year and a half ago, and I went to Yardbird, and so I have like I have a visual, I have an experience. So when they were talking about their protocol, um, it's interesting, and I think looking at what's happening over there with restaurants is smart for us
Yeah.
to figure out how to plan.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, all my entire family is in Asia right now. They're in Tokyo, they're in Taiwan, and there basically, everything's shut down but opened. Like for instance, at Yardbird, the protocol is that you have to get your temperature taken. You have to sign a waiver before you eat that indemnifies or does not indemnify the restaurant. And then essentially you have to sit in tables of four or less and be properly distanced. So, a trend that took place um, in that was huge in like Asia, like the food court phenomenon or night market phenomenon, that came to the US big time. And I think like all of those eateries are going to suffer, frankly, because that that trend is obviously not going to be sustainable with social distancing in the short term. However, if you look at what's happened really recently in Asia in terms of fine dining, it's become home dining. And, governments, like especially in Hong Kong, they allow restaurants to open in people's homes. And those are the hardest tables to book. And those are the ones that you have to get months out in advance, and maybe this will be an opportunity for young chefs to develop home meals. I have a friend who runs Starry Kitchen out in LA who did that, but it was always a kind of underground type of supper club. But wouldn't it be great if we were able to develop home cooks, home
Yeah.
home restaurants?
Yeah, well, that I guess even I'm thinking of, my initial tip of thinking of like, the future and solutions and ways we can get through this and come out on the other side and maybe come up with something, better than we've had now because I don't think
Yeah.
I can't see things it does, I think things are going to look different for a long time. And we're going to have to make
There
adjustments.
Yeah, there are going to be seismic changes in formats. And I think, fast casual might end up being fast elegant. Like there has to be new ways because people want to eat out and
Mhm.
people don't want to cook, particularly in urban areas. So, what do those kind of formats look like? And, that's all going to sort of unveil itself over the next couple of months because real estate is going to be there's going to be a big opening in most major cities for real estate, and landlords are going to have to be creative, chefs are going to have to be creative, operators are going to have to be creative to see how they create models that kind of give people what they want, give them an experience, but in a new format.
Yeah, true. Well, yeah, it's a lot of changes happening, but these are good articles to note, and yeah. So, um, stay tuned for what's next. We'll stay on it.
Yeah.
I am going to run through my solo dining experience this week, which is a takeout experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Tori Shin. So here's the rundown.
Yum.
I thought you guys would like this one. So the
Yum.
location, we're going to get yums through this. Okay, the location, 362 West 53rd Street off 9th Avenue in Hell's Kitchen, New York City. The concept, it's a Japanese yakitori with a mission to provide the most authentic Tokyo-style experience using the highest quality ingredients. In Japanese, tori means chicken or bird, and shin means spirit, so hence the name. The chef and owner is Shu Yakita. Why did I take out? Because I wanted to support a local restaurant that I appreciate. So my experience, I ordered through Resy. On Resy, they changed their format to the takeout options. I discovered later that you could order from Terry Sheen through some other apps for delivery, but I actually felt like going and taking a walk, and so I wanted to pick it up. And I live fairly close by. And the website, it says Yakitori Torishine Select Counter. And how it's set up is they have about 7 or 8 options, and then there's time slots. So I picked 8 o'clock to pick up my order, which was about an hour ahead of time. But it's just you go to the website. It's kind of cool. It has different time slots and different dishes, and you just place your order that way. When I picked up my order, I met the manager, Yakihiko Yurashi, and he was, going in and to an empty restaurant when they're just set up for takeout, and we're wearing face masks, and it's sort of like, I don't know. It's such an interesting experience, and it's so nice to see someone. And we had a little conversation. I told him I would probably be talking about this on my show, and he was very happy. And I picked up my order and I took it home and enjoyed it. So
how many skewers did you get?
How many? Well, what I got the Tori Shin bento box.
Okay.
So, it had the chicken skewers with the Saburo Don, and it was on ground, and it had ground chicken over rice with seaweed.
Oh, yum.
And
it looks amazing.
Pepper.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, so it was, it's like, for me being a solo, like just dinner for one, it was just, It was great. There was an option, I think, to get 5 different types of skewers. And there were a few different options, but that's the one I went with, and it was great. I think I was reading about how they use this special charcoal, Kishu Binchotan. You guys probably don't know about this. And the flavor of the chicken was just so unique, and it was beautifully presented. So it was great. I'd say it's perfect for anyone who wants a taste of Japan in New York City for takeout or delivery. Interesting tidbit, Pete Wells reviewed Tori Shin back in April 2017 and gave it 3 stars. So this is like
it's also a Michelin star.
Yeah. I mean, it's as another, silver lining to all this. Like, you can get this food now to go of this very high quality at a reasonable price. The cost of my meal was $28. That's not including tax and gratuity. Yeah. And personal fun fact is I've dined there before it's a beautiful space with the kitchen counter.
I love the counter.
So yeah, it's fabulous. And their website's torisheenny.com if anyone wants to check it out.
Good choice, Shari.
Yeah, very good choice.
I was happy about it because I do live close by, and it feels good to support local, like you said, Danielle. Yeah. And it's also something, even though I've been cooking chicken at home, whatever they do to their chicken is different than what I do.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Well, great. So, okay. So for the end of the show, we have the final question, where I'm asking you guys to ask my next guest a question. And I'm having on Michael Schatzberg. He is the managing director for Branded Restaurants and the founder and managing partner of Branded Strategic Hospitality. Danielle and William, would you like to ask a question or two for Michael?
Well, I actually have a question. If we just go back to just what we were originally talking about in terms of format, I'm curious to hear what he thinks could be some of the emerging restaurant formats that might, gain more popularity as post pandemic. I think that as people have to sort of socially distance and people are still afraid of crowds, what kind of long-term effect is that going to have on dining, and what are some of the interesting new formats that his company might be looking at to sort of address that?
That's a great question.
And then just give him a shout out from Kiki Suhadi Olivo, who's been our events director for Lucky Rice for the past 5 years. And she just got engaged, and she used to manage big daddies.
Oh, wow. Which is one of his places. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, small world.
I know.
And then obviously his company invests in a lot of technology for hospitality. I think technology is going to be crucial now more than ever, not just for keeping inventory or taking reservations. The role of technology post-pandemic is going to have a lot to do with just managing guests and keeping track of things. And I'm just curious the role that technology is going to have in the future.
Yeah, true. Another great question. I mean, I'm looking forward to chatting with him and seeing what's going on with his company. He has a lot going on, or a lot of different businesses and connections. So thank you. And thank
You're
you both
welcome.
for joining me today. This has been such a treat, and I'm so impressed with both of you. Your careers, just everything you do is amazing, and I just wish you both the best. And I can't wait to keep watching the rest of Lucky Chow.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Jerry. Yes, you're fantastic.
And when this is all over, we're gonna all have the most gorgeous omakase at
With
Ishikawa.
champagne.
Ishikawa, yes, I know. We talking about shifting. I mean, Chef Don, he's been doing takeout, and I need to walk across the park and go get his takeout because he's I've seen the pictures online, and
Oh my god, I can't. I almost have to tune him out on Instagram because his. Well, first of all, his sushi. So his omakase is the most beautiful omakase in New York City, but his takeout since this pandemic has been absolutely phenomenal. For those of you who live on the Upper East Side, make your way over to Ishikawa for the takeout because it's unbelievable. Best sushi.
Yeah, I agree. It's special. So thank you. I look forward. We will have a omakase date in the future.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My guests today have been Danielle Chang, the founder and CEO of Lucky Rice, and the host and creator of Lucky Chow. And she's at daniellechang.com, and also websites luckyrice.com, luckychow.com. And also my guest today was William Lee, the founder and principal of Berkshire Strategy Group, the co-host of and co-producer of Lucky Chow, and contributing editor of El Decor and Town and Country. So I gave you their websites. Now on social media, they're at the Danielle Chang, at William Lee NYC, at Lucky Chow TV, and at luckyrice.com. Social media for me at Sherry Bayer, at Bayer PR, at All Industry. My Facebook page is All in the Industry. My websites, BayerPublicRelations.com, SherryBayer.com, and allintheindustry.com. All of our shows are archived at heritageradionetwork.org. We are also on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. So just a heads up, I started doing these Instagram live interviews And I have one tomorrow. I'm going to be talking to Jonathan Rubenstein and Gabrielle Rubenstein, the fabulous brother and sister team behind Joe Coffee Company. And I'm doing that tomorrow at 3 o'clock. That's May 7th on Instagram Live at All Industry. And my past ones are up at IGTV if you want to check it out. I talked with Stephen Kamali, Arlene Spiegel, and Farmer Lee Jones, and we're covering COVID-19's impact on the hospitality industry. So you can check those out. And that's the show today. I want to thank my engineer, Amanda Wang. And again, thanks to Danielle and William. And also a shout out to Gia Vecchio, a publicist and friend who helped set this up. And I'm Sherry Bayer. Be safe, be well. Thank you for being part of All in the Industry. Till next time. Bye. All in the Industry is powered by Simplecast. I'm Sherry Bayer, and you're listening to Heritage Radio Network, a member-supported podcast network broadcasting over 35 weekly shows live from Bushwick, Brooklyn. This year, HRN is celebrating 10 years of food radio. For the past decade, we've been taking you behind the scenes of farms, restaurants, breweries, school cafeterias, and more. It's been 10 years, and we're just getting started. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be and realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.